systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everybody? Happy college football week 10 and happy Halloween. It's the SHIPIT Penguin here. Welcome to this college football breakdown analysis show for week 10. Okay, it's me. It's DollaBill. In case you didn't know, it was me in there the whole time. Just dressed up a little bit for Halloween. Welcome to the show. Great to have you all here. Hope you're having a great Halloween weekend so far, and we can make it better with college football. But honestly, I got to take this off quick. It's too damn hot for a penguin. All right, let's do it. Roll up the sleeves. Here we go. Let's get to this college football show. Just a reminder, it's always a good time to join SHIPIT Nation. We do have the Nation News for free. We still have our 5 days for $19 promotion. Again, perfect time to do it because there's football every single day. And on top of that, just another week of winners. So many, we had to add another column to this collage that we build. Two, HC Hawk and Nung, both with 100K shippers. Ranger just on a stellar run, another 30K ship. ToeTagginTambo, you recognize that name. He had another big week in the streets. And Hamhock, just another college football ticket, another college football world championship ticket. I don't think he's allowed to have any more now, though. So that's more for the rest of us. Go out and get yours now. I don't think he can get them, but just so many different names, so many different sports. It's not just one sport. We're getting it in football, NFL, and college, and NHL and NBA already. It's been crazy. There's been some MLB playoff action, and it's just a great time. It's so fun to see all of the success we're having, and it's not just about the victories. It's how people got there and their process, and everything coming to fruition with what we're doing here at SHIPIT Nation. Just a great community to be a part of, and if that's not enough, we have another promo partnership sort of thing going on right now. If you haven't heard of Splash Sports, check it out, splashsports.com. We've had a great relationship with them for a while now. They have a ton of good promos, like all the time on their website. Not like this is one of them, I think. But if you're not familiar with Splash, they do have contests. They have quick picks. There's a new Survivor contest actually on there mid-season. I think there's it's either a $500,000 prize pool or I think you split $500,000, but it's starting this week and you can still get in until the late games on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But then they have their quick picks, which is like a DraftKings pick 6, if you're familiar with that. But here's what we got. Sign up for Splash, use the promo code SHIPIT. They're doing a 50% deposit match and 100% payout boost on your first quick picks entry. Now that is NFL or NBA, and it's a $20 max and 2 picks. But that, like I said, there's always promos, there's always boosts on the site. So even if you get this with the code SHIPIT, you're still going to have access to those other promotions as well. Splash is doing a lot of great things. They're up, and I don't even know if I consider them up and coming anymore, maybe industry wide, but they're doing a lot of good things, and we love Splash. Again, splashsports.com. Use the promo code SHIPIT to take advantage and check it out for yourself. Oh my gosh, let's see if I can get out of it. I don't usually use these graphics. I haven't used them a ton. Look, there I am. Here we go, and look at that. There's the stone. Let's just get right into this college football slate. We're starting off with an SEC game, and let me just say I am now convinced that any SEC game can shoot out after what we saw last week. Before it was any SEC game that didn't include Texas or Kentucky. Well, last week, Missouri and Vanderbilt were the soggy team. So it could go either way any given week, but the SEC is one of those conferences I think can shoot out. Now, Diego Pavia is priced down a little bit, but it is a tougher road matchup. And if he's not able to use his legs, it's probably going to be a little bit of tough sledding here against Texas. But teams can throw the ball against Texas, right? I mean, Mississippi State did it. Vandy probably can too, right? So if Diego Pavia does have his passing game with him, I think they could score some points here. It's just we haven't really seen it from Vandy's offense the last couple of weeks. They've won, which is good for them, and they're on a good run here, but it's not by scoring a ton of points. Cedric Alexander and McKylan Young still have touchdown upside if they can move the ball, and both of them are cheap. Young has actually been super effective too when he's on the field. Like, you're looking at like 3 carries for 80 yards and things like that. So when he touches the ball, things happen. Cheaper options at receivers too. Stower, Sherrill, Richardson, still the guys. None of them have scored a TD since the Utah State game, though. So maybe you're looking at they're due. Yeah, if they can throw the ball in this game, they're due. Arch Manning on the Texas side, he is still questionable, and his coach has one foot out the door for the NFL, right? Sark's going to the NFL. That's something we'll have to wait and see on. Arch is in a decent spot, sub K again if he can go. This game does look a little bit sloggy. Like I said, it could shoot out. I would not be surprised to see like a 2017 game here. If Manning can't go this Caldwell, he is a little bit more of a pocket passer. So we'd see a little bit more throwing, maybe a little bit more of the run game with the running backs rather than the quarterback. But that's, again, we'll just have to wait and see what the status of Arch is heading into this game. Luckily, it's the first game on the slate, so it's early. In terms of the running back room, the talent's there. Wisner and Baxter are talented running backs. Baxter had 20 snaps last week, so his workload is getting back up there. It just does not seem like they can get the ball moving on the ground. And I don't know if it's just the offensive line, if it's the play calling, what it is. But moving the ball on the ground hasn't been a strong part of this offense for the running backs anyway. I do think there's upside with both of them, though. Wisner at 6K, it seems too cheap. Baxter, if he's Baxter, is too cheap at 4,900, but they'll eat into each other. It's just a tough click with what we've seen the past few weeks. And then Ryan Wingo, speaking of the past few weeks, coming off of a huge game, 12 targets. I mean, he only caught 5 of them, but it didn't really matter because he had 129 yards after the catch. Either way, it's enough to get me interested again, even at 6,200, kind of in that mid-range for a wide receiver. He's the top target option. And if he can catch even 50% of the passes that are thrown his way, I think he's got a ton of upside here. After that, you could look at really any of these guys. They're kind of all the same to me. Livingston and Mosley will look a little bit better because they each had 2 touchdowns last week. And again, this could all change if Caldwell's in the game. We could see, a little bit more out of the slot or tight ends like Jack Endries or something like that. But it really could be any one of these guys as a second option. UCF at Baylor, I believe the highest spread on the slate. For UCF as an underdog going into Waco. Taven Jackson, not the worst at 7,200. I just wish he had some more rushing upside to his game. Certainly in this game environment, he can get there. But where I'm looking first is going to be Miles Montgomery in this game. 5,800 for pretty close to workhorse back. I mean, he doesn't get like the 20 to 25 carries every single game or anything like that. But anybody can run the ball on Baylor, and it's not too hard to see that. And he can catch some passes out of the backfield too. The one thing is, like, Jaden Nixon, kind of like McKylan Young in the last game, he's not on the field and getting as much work, but when he does, he is explosive. He's averaging 8.5 yards per carry in 3 of his last 4 games. I certainly don't mind it. He just doesn't get the volume that Miles Montgomery does. And then in this wide receiver room, pass catchers, no one really jumps off the page. Just, again, it's spread out a little bit. You never know who it's going to be. Thomas and Black are kind of the top target guys, but Dahmer had 5 targets last week. 5 targets in each of the last 3 games, actually. I think he just caught all 5 of them last week, but he's only on the field for like 12 routes or something ridiculous like that. So he's just not on the field as much, but when he is, I guess they like to throw to him. But if you're playing a wide receiver, any one of these guys could be it. I think Marcus Burke is questionable or probable, so keep an eye on that if you're interested. But really like the running game for UCF a little bit more than the passing game. On the Baylor side, Sawyer Robertson has actually been a little bit disappointing from a DFS perspective. I mean, he gets the raw points most of the time, but point per dollar, it just hasn't quite been there. Now, can he get there? Absolutely. He has 40-point upside, especially at home in a game environment against a team that Baylor should probably beat. Obviously, the spread says so. UCF looks okay against the pass, but they haven't faced an attack like Baylor this year. You can run on UCF, but I don't know who's going to be running the ball. Michael Turner outsnapped and outworked Bryson Washington after Bryson left with a head injury last game. So that means Washington's on the injury report again, like finally this week, right? No, he's not. They still do not put him on the injury report. So we're just going to be dealing with the same thing we have been. He's been ineffective. I know he had a touchdown one week, but it still really wasn't enough to get him there. Michael Turner is probably the guy. If you're going to play a running back here, maybe Washington has a bounce back, but it's hard to say that's going to happen. And then the wide receiver room, Kobe Prentice is doubtful. So maybe that means, there's going to be fewer mouths to feed, but I still think they're going to feed 4 to 5 mouths in this game. Like, I think Trigg and Cameron are probably the safest in this case, but like, are you going to be mad if you get a guy that's $4,800 and gets 7 targets a game, or a guy that's $4,100 and gets 5.5 targets a game? Like, if that's your last guy in, I think you're feeling pretty good. And that's exactly what Ashton Hawkins and Cole Wilson are. So it just depends. Do you have 6'1", 5'8", 4'8", or 4'1"? Plug one of these guys in. You can even stack them with Robertson. You're a pretty good spot. There's a lot of different ways to stack this game, though. And I think you can get a little bit different. I think once we'll wait and see what the ownership lands on, but I do think playing these wide receivers for UCF or the running backs for Baylor might get you a little bit different. Duke at Clemson, another fairly big spread in terms of this slate as a whole. Duke is a 3.5 point dog. I don't care how good or bad Clemson is. It's a tough place to play, especially for a team like Duke. But Darian Mintz is cheap. Yes, like I said, on the road at Clemson, but it is setting up to be a trailing game script, especially if they throw more than 40 times like they did against Georgia Tech. Darian Mintz can certainly get there. Honestly, he could probably hit 5x this price in a perfect scenario. In the running back room, it is a little bit tougher sledding. Shepard is involved in the passing game more. So you're probably looking at him if you're looking at anybody, but he's just a little bit spendy, and we know Castle can get the touchdowns. That's it. Like with Duke, that's just really not where I'm going. You can get some extreme touchdown upside, though. They had a pretty good run there for a few games. So again, GPP plays. And then the pass catchers, if you like Mensa, you're going to like these guys. Barcade is the most expensive, but for good reason. 14 targets against Georgia Tech. He caught 13 of them, and he's been the target leader all season. And then, Quayshawn Brown was a little bit of a letdown last game, but he's still cheap. Higgins and Anthony also both cheap. So I think any one of those 4 receivers, you can mix and match or stack 2 of them with Mensa even if you want to. I wouldn't hate it. And then on the Clemson side, Cade Klubnik and Chris Vezina have both been taking snaps at practice. But it sounds like Klubnik is probable, and he's going to give it a go this weekend. I do think good passing teams can throw the ball on Duke, and if Klubnik for sure does go, 7,500 is way too cheap. He's probably going to project off the charts and be one of the higher owned quarterbacks on the slate, but for good reason. Even if he's not mobile in this game, he's got a ton of upside with his passing. And then Adam Randall can probably have success regardless of Duke's run defense. Like, they're not the BL, like the greatest, but they're not terrible either. They're pretty good against the run. It didn't show when Haynes King was running the ball on him, but yeah, I'm still bitter about that. Anyway, but Randall's a converted wide receiver. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. In fact, he had 8 targets last game. And it could be a product of who was playing quarterback, but he's got like 25 over the last 4. So he can catch passes out of the backfield. And then Brian West goes out for the season. So that's another reason Randall could see more targets in this game. TJ Moore and Antonio Williams got the rest of the targets, it seemed like, outside of Adam Randall once Wesco went down. So 5,300 and 4,900 is just kind of asinine. I don't understand the pricing here. And then the biggest percentage bump is probably going to go to Cole Turner and Tristan Smith. They should see the field more. They line up wide where Wesco was, and they saw the field quite a bit after Wesco went down. So they're at least on the board at min price here. But again, a lot of different ways you can stack this Clemson team, and a lot of good run backs on Duke. So if people are going to start to gravitate toward this Central Florida Baylor game, let's take on this Duke Clemson game. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Clemson side. We'll have to, like I said, we'll have to see how it shakes out. But I don't know that you're getting too different by stacking those Clemson guys just with how cheap they are. Miami at SMU, another ACC game. Miami big road favorites. Carson Beck, decent spot. Like, SMU's a pass funnel, and he's only 6,700. I think I like him in all formats here. So, if you want to, if he's probably not going to get the ownership just because of some of the guys we already talked about, and there's more to come later too, that Beck might actually get squeezed even at 6,700. Fletcher and Marty Brown, both good options. It just really depends on where you want to spend your money, especially when it comes to Fletcher. I mean, he had a really good game last game. I mean, it was against Stanford, but He made it seem worth the 7,200. But again, SMU is just a pass funnel. So Malachi Toney and CJ Daniels are in stellar spots. And Toney's just been a stud, man. I mean, CJ Daniels has been really good too, but Malachi Toney is just, I mean, all worth the 5,900, and I'd probably pay 1,000 more for him in this spot. So Toney and Daniels are the guys I'm looking to stack with Beck. JoJo Trader did have a bunch of hype coming into the season, and he was really high on some best ball lists too. And he finally saw the field a little bit more last game, so maybe we get some JoJo Trader love. But again, that's not something that I'm going to buy too hard into unless, there's some really significant news or until we see it on the field. On the SMU side, I don't know, man. All of these guys are on the report. Most of them are probable. Kevin Jennings is one of them. Could he do it here at home? Maybe. I just don't like the matchup. And for 8,800, I don't think you can spend your money there this week. Like if he goes off, you'll be virtually by yourself. So take that for what you want. TJ Harden could have the backfield to himself, or at least a little less eating into of his usage. Chris Johnson is questionable on the report, but I don't know that you're going to this running back room either, man. If I am going to look somewhere on this SMU side, maybe it's like Jordan Hudson or Romello Brinson. Jordan Hudson has been getting peppered a little bit more since he's been back from injury. So that plus the fact that he's cheaper than Brinson kind of leans me toward him. RJ Maryland might play tight end a little bit more if Hibner can't go. Hibner's questionable. But really tough clicks. But, I mean, there's a couple of one-offs I wouldn't mind, especially if you think this game could stay close and you want run backs. I think SMU is a good run back team for the Miami stacks. Penn State at Ohio State, the game that was circled on the calendar for Week 10 when the season started, number 1 versus number 2. I don't think Penn State. No, Texas was 1. At one point, I think these two teams were number 1 and number 2, though, and this game was circled. All of that stuff is accurate. My timeline's just off. But Ethan Grunkmeyer's playing quarterback. The way his name sounds, I mean, it sounds like you could just say he Grunkmeyered this game's potential. Can't really go there, I don't think. Katron Allen's taken over this backfield. Singleton has gotten fewer snaps and now 2 straight games. I didn't think I'd ever see him sub 5K, at least after last year and the start of this year. But these guys are just all tough clicks. Maybe they're talented enough to give it some fight. I do think like they could come out firing, and maybe you see an early touchdown from one of these guys, whether it's Allen or Singleton or one of these wide receivers if Grunkmeyer can get him the ball. I just don't think you're racing to play these guys. I would love to see it stay close, but I can't. I'm not going to predict a Penn State win, but if they came out and scored 14 points early, it wouldn't surprise me. On the other side, Julian Sainefio is just officially on his Heisman run. Upside is definitely here. Although Penn State, if they have any pride, their defense can step up in this game, I think, and hold Ohio State. Washington kind of did, I guess. But Penn State's defense, I think, is still better than Washington's. But, I mean, really the Buckeyes are matchup proof. Again, the one thing that would be concerning for us is what kind of DFS days these guys can have. I think they'll win the game, but it might be a 24-3 type of ball game too. So just something to consider as you're building your lineups. These guys are all going to project pretty well with a 32-point team total. So I'm not saying take it with a grain of salt with those projections. They're projected that way for a reason. They're a really good football team projected to score a lot of points. But just remember, in any game, and like in this one specifically, I can see a route where nobody gets there just because of the way they're priced. Bo Jackson still leading the backfield, has risk of getting sniped by CJ Donaldson on the goal line. And then also, if Ohio State just throws the ball 100 times, these running backs kind of get left behind. And then the wide receiver room, I don't need to say much. Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. They can get you 30 or more on any given Saturday. Max Clare's now more involved. Even Brandon Innes had a touchdown last week. And Carnell Tate, they refuse to price up. And I don't know why. I know he's had a couple of 3-catch for 30-yard games, but he also has some 6-catch for 120 and 2 touchdown games. And those seem to be more likely than the former. So Carnell Tate at 5,600. is probably going to project very well. And if you use an optimizer, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up no matter what projections you're using. Arizona State at Iowa State. Sam Leavitt's out. Jordan Tyson's doubtful. So what are we getting out of Arizona State here? We're getting Jeff Sims, and he is mobile. I don't know how much you like him going on the road at Iowa State here, but he's dynamic enough. He's just in that weird price, like $7,400 for Jeff Sims. We already talked about Mensa. There's a couple more quarterbacks that we're going to talk about. There's so many guys above or below him that are, I think, in better spots. Again, another guy that athletic enough to get there. I don't know how well he's going to be able to throw. This would have been a great game if Arizona State had all their starters. I think we'd be playing a lot of Arizona State guys, but now obviously we're going to have some pause. Raleek Brown, always going to have the upside with his involvement in the passing game and the fact that he's been getting a majority of the work at running back. $6,800 is a fair price for him. Malik McClain had a huge game against Houston without Jordan Tyson. Again, Tyson's doubtful, so it just depends on how you feel about Sims at quarterback. He is cheap, though, and he did have 5 targets when Jeff Sims played against Utah, and that was when Tyson was in the game, so it still seemed like he was looking McClain's way. At $3,600, I don't mind a shot on it. Any of these guys, though, they're just cheap. Iowa State, Rocco Becht is kind of in the same boat as Sims in terms of pricing here. Can he have a ceiling game? I think he's certainly capable, but he might also get you 14, which really hurts at $7,600. So, again, they're favored at home. I think this is one of those spots where maybe you can look at Becht and super low ownership. Carson Hansen and Abu Sama. Sama is questionable. If he doesn't go, I would love Carson Hansen in this spot. It's one of those situations where if one of them's out, I'm probably going to play the other one. When they're both in, they're still playable, but you just have to, sit and think about it a little bit more. It's not quite as much of a lock button when they're both in. So we'll watch the status of Sama. But at $6,400, Hansen's capable of getting there either way. I mean, he just did. He had a huge game against BYU. Wide receiver is a little bit messier. Still seems like Bramer is the most consistent. Burkle's consistent as well, just not quite as many targets as Bramer. So probably looking at those two for safety. But any one of these guys could have a spike game. And if you think Beck is going to have that aforementioned ceiling game, he's probably going to take one or two of these guys with him. So like maybe a little bit sneaky. If this Arizona State offense can get it clicking, this could be a little bit of a sneakier game. I think it's a more difficult path to get there. Louisville at Virginia Tech, 10.5 point spread. Louisville, the road favorite. Miller Moss, 8,600. Whoo, price tag. But on this offense, he could certainly crush with even at that price, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But Miller Moss still, I think, still playable here. 32-point team total. The running back room, Duke Watson is still out. Isaac Brown is having huge games, but he's also fumbling the ball. Again, if he goes for 200 yards, he could fumble a couple of times, and I wouldn't care. So if you're going to pay up at running back, I think this is a fine spot to do it. If he holds onto the ball, just an added bonus. Chris Bell made the injury report, but he's probable. And why Miller Moss can pay off his $8,600 price tag is because of these two wide receivers. There's playmakers, extreme upside for both of them. Chris Bell is priced $2,500 more expensive for a reason. He's had some explosion games. And if they're throwing the ball, it's a good chance it's going to those two guys. Anything after that is just a dart throw at best. So you're really looking at Moss, Brown, Bell, and Lacey, depending on what you can afford. Other than Lacey, they're all expensive. So that's what the difficult thing is with Louisville. On the Virginia Tech side, Kyron Jones is also expensive. I know Virginia Tech just ran for 350 yards. But that wasn't against Louisville. And I mean, they can still do it, not to the 350-yard number, I don't think. Now go watch them do it. I mark my word, if they do it this Saturday, I'm going to remember this moment hard. But Jones, the rushing upside is there. And you'll probably get some leverage because he's expensive. Marcellus Hawkins coming off of a blow-up game between him and Terrion Stewart and the aforementioned Jones. They ran the ball 54 times last week. So it's pretty clear what they want to do when they can. If they can run the ball that much, the volume is enough to get these guys there, especially like either one of them. I think Hawkins is going to get the lean just because of the game he just had, but it really could be any one of these three guys leading the way in the running game. And In the passing game, it's still green and green, but Takai Heath managed to have a big 2-touchdown game, even though they ran the ball 54 times. So Aiden and Donovan Green, you're probably looking at first still, but Takai Heath is sneaking up on him and could take over this wide receiver 1 spot if they're not careful. Again, if Virginia Tech can keep it close, I like this game, but it is a pretty expensive Louisville side, and you can't really play both quarterbacks in this game and feel too comfortable with it when they're both at 82 and 8,600. The next game, Georgia at Florida. This is not in the Swamp. I would feel differently about this game if it was in the Swamp. It's a neutral site in Jacksonville. And I do like Gunnar Stockton more for that reason. I mean, I would have liked him a little bit, some anyway, but at 8,000, dual threat, and he's got solid wide receivers to throw to. The upside's definitely there. He's got 30-point potential in this game. Not a problem with that. And not like a super cash lock or anything, but I think he's maybe even cash viable. Like if you wanted a second quarterback and landed with $8,000 left, I don't mind Stockton. The running game, I do mind because Frazier was the guy last game. It could be Bowens this game. Cash Jones and McCray mix in just enough to make you a little bit more uncomfortable. So it's tough to play this pass or running game, especially since Stockton is running more. I mean, he's eating into these running backs as well. You can't forget that. And also don't forget that Nate Frazier likes to fumble. The pass catching room, Kobe Young is out, which is just going to help open up more opportunity for these guys, Branch and Humphreys specifically. But then Noah Thomas also saw his most routes run of the season after Young went down. So Noah Thomas at min price looks to be in a good spot. I don't know if you need to go all the way down to min price for a wide receiver, but he'd be one of my options if you did. And all of these guys are cheap. Zachariah Branch at 4K just seems ridiculous. But that's what he's priced at. We play him held or priced. On the Florida side, your guess is as good as mine. We don't have a glimpse into what kind of plays are they going to call? They're just going to. I think they let DJ Lagway cook. Let DJ cook, man. But they're going to be playing a little bit loose. A lot of changes in the coaching staff, and screw it. Let's just go out and beat Georgia, right? So DJ Lagway at 7,700. I don't know if I'm super considering him, but I have a real fun route for him to get there, and it would be a fun football game to watch, I think. I don't think you cross him off at all. And you can get to Georgia a little bit more through the air than on the ground. Speaking of the ground game, Jaden Baugh is one of the playmakers on the team. I still think he's in line for 20 to 25 carries in this game. No Jacoby Jackson. Even against a tougher run defense, at 20 rushes for 65 yards and 2 touchdowns is fine, especially if he's going to continue to catch the ball out of the backfield too. And then in the wide receiver room, Vernell Brown's out, which is just going to open up more for Dallas Wilson, Trey Wilson, and Sturdivant, which Wilson and Sturdivant sounds a lot like a law firm. But to have success in this game for Florida, you got to get the ball to your playmakers, and Baugh and Dallas Wilson stick out the most to me in terms of playmaking ability, but cheap. Again, this game is very, very cheap. And it's an SEC game. Could it shoot out? Yes, it could. And if I remember correctly, Florida was about to on track to beat Georgia last year until DJ Lagway got hurt. I'm sure he remembers. All right, Texas Tech at Kansas State. Looks like Texas Tech is going to get their quarterback back, and he is underpriced. Baron Morton, after 2 weeks off, sounds like is healthy. He is probable. And if that's true, this price is just silly. He's got 400-yard upside. He's only real bad output games were against Utah, the game he got hurt. So if you think he's healthy, it does seem like a buy low spot. Cam Dickey, and Jacoby Williams, they're both stellar backs. And Jacoby Williams just opened the game with a kick return touchdown last week, so that was fun. No, 2 weeks ago. I just said they had a bye week. Come on, Bill. Get with the times. Get with yourself. Keep up. Cam Dickey and Jacoby Williams. Rewind, reset. They haven't had the volume the last couple of games, but it's been just a different quarterback. They needed to throw more against Arizona State in that game. And again, the other game was Oklahoma State. So you don't look much into anybody who plays Oklahoma State because they could just do whatever they want, play backyard football and still win the game. I do think Dickey's going to get more run this game. And again, Williams has upside even if he doesn't run the ball. He's a pass catcher too. And then this wide receiver room, Caleb Douglas has been pretty consistent regardless of who's playing quarterback. But all of these guys are probably happy to have Morton back, honestly. Virgil and Eakin are both solid options. Terrence Carter is probable, definitely capable of having a spike game. The toughest part is just picking which guy is going to be. The Kansas State has struggled more with slot guys, so if you want to buy into that, Coy Eakin is the one that should benefit the most from that. Plus, he's the cheapest. But really, like I said, it could be any one of these guys. And then on the Kansas State side, these guys are also underpriced. Avery Johnson had a really good game in the Sunflower Showdown last week, and he's been on a pretty stellar run, albeit against defenses that I don't think are up to Texas Tech standards. But he's priced down to his lowest of the season by far, and he's still got the rushing upside. I will say Texas Tech has been pretty good against dual threat quarterbacks, but at 6,800, it's hard not to at least consider Avery Johnson. Dylan Edwards is out again, so we're going to have Joe Jackson, and he's priced down this week. But he's really only had one good game, and that was against TCU. And Tech has also been pretty good against running backs. So at 6,100, I don't know that you get to Joe Jackson here. I mean, certainly capable. And then the wide receiver room also priced out. I never thought I'd see a $5,000 Jace Brown. Maybe I have before and I just forgot, but it's just not something I expect because he is a really good football player. And even when he doesn't get the volume, he's super effective with it. And if KSU is going to win this game, it's probably going to be because of Avery Johnson and Jace Brown. Tech has given up a few good games to tight ends. Maybe look at Garrett Oakley. He didn't get a single target or run a ton of routes last week. I didn't even check it if he got hurt or not. But either way, keep an eye on Garrett Oakley. But Jace Brown is really what I'm looking at here in this wide receiver room. But more looking at the Texas Tech side, but this could be another one of those sneaky games if Kansas State can keep it close. Big 12 used to be the shootout conference. Maybe we can get some shades of the old Big 12 here. Game that I do not expect to shoot out. Well, one side will. The other side's probably not even going to bring a weapon. CJ Carr for Notre Dame going into Boston College. Notre Dame should be able to beat them however they want to. Potential for 300 yards passing for Carr almost on a weekly basis. The one thing I will say is that he's only paid off this price tag once, and by paid off I mean gotten to 3x. So it's certain. I mean, you can definitely get there though. I'm not going to be mad if you play CJ Carr, but just know that information. And the reason that he has a little bit of downside is because they could just run Jeremiah Levin-Jadarian and Price 50 times and still win this ball game by 35 points. Same thing I say every time this team's on the slate. I love Love and I love Price's price. Jeremiah Love's probably going to get a lot of eyes this week, though. A, because he always does, and B, because he's coming off of a huge 200-yard, 5-catch game. Plus, he's got a touchdown or more in every single game except for one. Just depends on if 9K fits your build. That's all it's going to come down to with Jeremiah Love. And in this wide receiver room, Faison, Fields, Raridon, and Pauling. All four guys have been on the field, and they have all been pretty up and down. It does seem like Faison's still the safest. And honestly, over the last few games, Will Pauling seems like the next safest in terms of consistency, but they're all pretty cheap, though. And, it's an offense that sets up to score a ton of points. On the Boston College side, Grayson James is the quarterback now, and he started the last 2 weeks, but Bill O'Brien is still saying, who could be anybody starting? I would assume it's going to be James. Turbo Richard is left the UConn game and didn't play last week, and he's currently questionable. We just got a new availability report. This one came out late because it is a later game, and that's how the ACC does it. They break down their availability reports by time. So I'm having a little bit of an on-air production meeting, punting, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. All right. Oh, yeah, never mind. This isn't a conference game. That's why I couldn't find it earlier. Oh, my gosh, I need to go to bed. Anywho, that was a waste of 35 seconds. It's okay. I've wasted more time for less important things. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I don't think you're playing whoever plays running back in this game. You might play Lewis Bond, though. He's taken some snaps out of the backfield with no Turbo Richard, but I think most of those have been more pass catching situations. But he gets a lot of targets. So at 4,200, I mean, I don't mind. These guys do seem to produce more with Grayson James than they did with Lonergan, but again, just a tough ask. Maybe you play Lewis Bond as a run back, or, if you're a Boston College fan. Indiana at Maryland setting up to be another blowout. I doubt Indiana's looking ahead to Penn State anymore, and I think Sigs just wants to beat everybody by 50. Fernando Mendoza, pretty much matchup proof at this point. He underperformed from a DFS perspective against Oregon and Iowa. But outside of that, he's been stellar, and Maryland's defense is not Oregon's or Iowa's. Roman Hemby revenge game, and he's coming off of a huge game against UCLA. I wouldn't be surprised if they feed him a lot more here, get him a few touchdowns early, maybe 4, 5, 6. No, but really, I think this revenge game does hold some relevance in this situation. Am I all in on it? No, but Hemby could go for 103, and it wouldn't surprise 100 yards and 3 touchdowns, not just 103 yards. Wouldn't surprise me. Kalen Black will still mix in. We'll probably see Martin some. Pretty big letdown from Surratt and Cooper last game, just 7 targets between the two of them. And that's typically what we expect from each of them, but their upside's obviously still there. And it was a huge day for EJ Williams. So I guess it could be an EJ Williams game too. He's got 13 targets over the last 2 games. Williams has the obvious discount here, but pick any one of these guys. I think Indiana's going to have a lot of success. On the Maryland side, it's a tough ask for them. 14.5-point team total obviously doesn't set up well. I will say that Shalik Knotts had 13 targets against UCLA. It just only turned into 3 catches. Farouk has experience against SEC teams. I mean, Indiana's obviously not SEC teams. He just played good competition is what I'm saying. And then Smith and Fleming are up next. But they've been okay. There have been a few good wideouts from teams playing against Indiana, and Maryland should be passing a lot, so maybe that's what you're looking at here, especially because they're cheap, but I don't know that I love it. A late day hammer, Virginia at Cal, and Virginia, the road favorite, traveling 3 time zones, although it is east to west, so the body clock is a little bit different that way. Chandler Morris is the most expensive he's been all year, and to be honest, I'd rather run against Cal than throw against them. Well, I don't want to do anything against them because I'm too old and broken to play college football anymore. But Virginia Tech just ran for 357 yards on Cal. And the one thing is, like, Virginia's been playing to their competition. So if you think Cal can score in this game, it seems like Virginia will too. So Morris can get there. But Jamari Taylor was one of the first names that popped up for me when I was looking through this slate, just because of obviously what Virginia Tech did against Cal is, it's recency bias, but teams were running on California before that too. And Taylor's getting a big workload with Xavier Brown. Now it's just Taylor and a sprinkle of Harrison Whaley. Taylor wasn't super effective, but his volume and pass catching make him very playable at this price. And just, man, this matchup is something that has you licking your chops for any running back. Cam Ross is back, most likely. This was the availability report that was coming out later. So now I'm actually going to go look at that and have something valuable to report. There is Virginia, and Cam Ross is probable to play. Breaking news. There we go. He's probable to play. Depending on when you're watching, that's probably not breaking news anymore. But he's in a decent spot at 4K. Trell Harris and Edrine are both in decent spots at sub 4K. I do think they're just going to run the ball a ton. But if everybody's going to play the running back, how do you get different and still play this game? Play the passing game. Easy game, right? On the Cal side, they're also in a good spot. Let's be honest. North Carolina kept up with both of these teams, so I think they're going to be able to both keep up with each other, which is fine for DFS if they can both score. Yeah. But anyway, Jaron Kiabi Sangapulatelli has had a pretty good year from a true freshman perspective, and now he's 6,900. Nice. And it gets the mid-pass defense on a long road trip, so he's got some upside here. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle himself, Kendrick Raphael, has been on a stellar run, 18 to 25 carries over the last 4 games. In each game, 18 to 25 carries. And that little injury report that I just looked at shows that LJ Johnson and Brandon High are going to be out again, so that's really all they got is Kendrick Raphael. And then in this wide receiver room, Jacob DeJesus has just been getting peppered. So he's somebody you can definitely look at. 65 targets over the last 6 games, including a 17 target game mixed in there. He's a volume play for sure. Mason Minnie has turned into one of JKS's favorite targets. And, both him and Tron Gazelle are cheaper than DeJesus, and Gazelle's, more of the big play potential. But you could even take a flyer on like Jordan King, 3,200. But there's a lot of different ways to stack this game too. You could just play both running backs and call it a day from a workload perspective. Or you could do a full-on stack and, watch your lineup go from here. No, here. Got to remember it's mirrored. From here on your DraftKings or FanDuel thing and go up into the green. And that wasn't worth it either. Anyway, there's the slate. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed seeing the Penguin at the beginning. But yeah, there's some blowouts on this slate. There's a lot of cheap guys, but honestly, pricing isn't quite as soft overall. But there are definitely some underpriced guys on the slate. There are a bunch of different ways to play. But we'll end this video stream breakdown the same way we do every single week. And that's with the big guys. Rule number 1, college football is fun. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the sweat. Enjoy watching college football on your TV, and just be thankful that the fact that we have it on our TV and we get an opportunity to play college football DFS. But most of all, don't ever take a single day for granted. We don't get enough, and we don't know when the next one is going to be. But that's going to do it for Week 10's Ship It Nation College Football Breakdown Show. I will see you in the streets this weekend. Let's go out there and ship one for the big guy.